depression and understanding about some of the things that can get you through depression and get you on the other side of it. Understanding where it comes from is a major factor in being able to overcome it. In other words, you got to know where you are so you know where to start from and how to begin to proceed from there. Depression is based on an area of having, it can be caused and having problems to where, like, you have a baseline to where you had a chart. Above that chart, everything would be happy and you'd be excited, and anything below that would be sadness and turmoil and grief and all those different areas below that line. And so when you reach a state of depression, there's a number of reasons that can cause that. And it can be biological, or it can be nurtured. You know, we say, is it nurtured or is it nature? Sometimes there's a chemical imbalance in the brain. Thank God for a good psychiatrist or a good psychologist. In fact, a psychiatrist has and I'll be very honest with you, sometimes people need that kind of help, and there's not an issue with that. A good psychiatrist is an MD with a couple more years of studying in psychology. A psychologist might have 4 years or 6 years degree, and probably knows more about the psychology part of it than even your regular doctor. But the doctor or the psychiatrist has the ability to write the script or prescription out to help you with medication, because sometimes it's just a balance or imbalance of hormones in your brain, and it's a result of some other things. It can be biological, like a growth or tumor or some type of sickness. Sleep deprivation or lack of sleep will cause you to have a certain amount. Learn how to talk here in a minute. So sleep will cause you to have a certain amount of imbalance. Our nutrition and some of those areas have been proven also. So as a result of that, you start to say, okay, are you telling me that sometimes it can just be a chemical imbalance? Yes, it is. It can be that. Now, that's not the only reason and not the only cause. So you got this baseline of depression, and some of the things that can cause that is having a problem without a solution. If it's psychological, if it's biological, and usually even if it's psychological, it can end up causing what is known as clinical depression. In other words, inside your brain, some of those serotonin uptake inhibitors, and thank God for the medication and the medicines that they have today, and sometimes you need to seek that out. Just to think that sometime that there's hope in areas of having certain medications. It's not the sedative medications of the past of years gone by, but there's some new medications that airline pilots take and police officers. There are just some different levels of that to where it's called serotonin uptake inhibitors. Basically, the serotonin is released and it keeps it out. Sometimes you get happy and serotonin comes out and then the happiness is over. This sort of helps you, stay stable in an area, and it's caused from a chemical imbalance in the brain. And so as a result of that, they have medications that can help you. And then you say, yeah, are you telling me it could be an imbalance in my brain? Yes, it could be. And so as a result of that, finding good medical help. It also can be psychological. And again, if it's psychological, for instance, if you have a problem without a solution, it will bring depression. In other words, here's this baseline over here, and we say, okay, maybe that somebody has passed away, or maybe you have a sickness, terminal illness, maybe you have something else going on. So as a result of that, you have these things going on around you that's causing that baseline to change, and you say, well, let me get above that baseline, and you feel like I can't because it's a problem without a solution. And so when you have a problem without a solution, what you do then is you begin to build habits, and those become habituated or ingrained in you. So in other words, it's called clinical depression, means that your body now has reset itself to think what you're doing hormonally is normal for you. Yeah, it thinks you get up in the morning and you say, oh, I won't be happy. But inside of you, your brain says, no, this is normal for you. Hey, bud, you're not getting to be happy today. This is normal. You've been this way for 40 days. I've reset your clock. I've reset your buttons. Your buttons have been reset, and you're not going to be happy today. And that's all from a brain function. So there's been many times that people get into a place to where they become suicidal because they have a problem without a solution. And when you have problems without solutions and you don't have purpose in life, sometimes when you are raising children and you have a certain amount of depression, you have to get your butt out of bed and fix breakfast and take care of your children. And you have a purpose, and that purpose overdrives you through that area of depression until your body can normally reset that. So how do I determine if I have some type of depression? Well, basically, you don't have any happiness at all. And so what we look for is to say, okay, you have no joy, because if you have joy, it'll bring you happiness. What do you mean by that? Well, you enjoy the smell of a flower. When you can't enjoy the smell of a flower, then you're not happy. In other words, and you take someone who is not and will not enjoy something because of some psychological trauma, some psychological problem, you can drag them across that line and make them smell that rose, and they'll fight you every single step of the way. It's like, no, let's be happy. Come here. Hey, enjoy this rose. No, I'm not enjoying that rose. And they'll drag you back over into the state of depression. And so what has to happen is, with some good medication, psychoanalyzation of the psychiatrist, and maybe, another 10 weeks of a psychologist with applied psychology helping you go through some process of helping you understand that might be, or it might be one of the things that you can do some of the things yourself. And that is to begin to learn how to enjoy things. In fact, we find just from the Bible, from God's point of view, in Nehemiah, the 8th chapter, the 10th verse, it says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. And so you have to learn to enjoy things. And as you start to enjoy things, it will start to reset your body. And you might have to do that for, it's a tough haul if you've allowed yourself to reset itself, or if you've got some areas, biological, where you maybe need some medicine to help you get through some areas until you get your body reset, excluding any kind of sicknesses and diseases and maybe the genetic pool that you came out of. But generally speaking, if you start to learn to enjoy something, and in fact, what you would do is you would have applied areas to where you would go out and learn to enjoy things. You'd say, okay, I'm enjoying my children. I'm going to enjoy that. And you make yourself enjoy that, and you allow the happiness of it. There's been testimonies of people that were dying, and they would sit and watch crazy, funny movies, and that enjoyment, and enjoy that, it turns back on the immune system. Because what happens is when you're depressed, your immune system even stops working the way that it should work. You don't think very well. When you're depressed, you'll find a problem for everything. And when you're not depressed and you're happy, you'll find a solution for everything. And you can determine about, how depressed I am by if I can enjoy something or not. So you have to, what we do is, in a normal sense of pattern, is to get you to regrain yourself, habituate it back into the right pattern of saying, I'm going to form a habit. And it might take you 40 days of just learning to enjoy things. And I guarantee you, if you get up every day and start to enjoy things, and then be thankful to God. It says be thankful for all things. Be thankful for it. God, I thank you for the smell of this rose. God, I thank you for just the enjoyment of this beauty of this sky. I thank you for this rain. I thank you for this sunshine. And enjoy that. You'll find it will bring change to you, because the Word of God never fails. It says that the joy of the Lord is your strength. And what that will do is it will start your body's process of reprogramming itself to where after a period of time, after 30, 40, maybe 6 days, maybe 4 months, who knows? But what it will do is it will reset itself. And now all of a sudden, you get up and the brain is up there functioning. It's punching in all the right buttons, and you're getting all the right things that you need into your body. I know I'm making it sound a little bit more simpler than what it is, but I will tell you that will work for you. Again, depression means that if you're down, and I will say this, sometimes when people become suicidal, it's because they feel like they have problems without solutions. And I will tell you, those who've been to war, they come back and they've been traumatized and they've been into an area of things within the brain, you need to call somebody and talk to somebody. You find somebody and talk to somebody. There's hotlines if you feel down and desperate and you feel destitute and you feel like I can't go on like this. Sometimes, life deals you a pretty harsh hand, and you need to reach out to somebody. And as you reach out to somebody will be there to help you, especially in the area of the military. There's a number of hotlines that will help you. And also, it's good to reach out to your normal doctor. You go in and say, I just don't care if I live anymore or not. When they hear that word, I don't care, it's a signal that everyone replies to, because they understand that you're into a place to where something has brought change into your life. I'm only saying to this, reach out to God. Just say, I don't fully understand what's going on here, but I just want to thank you for your help. And as you do, you'll find out that God then will send somebody across your path to help you. It's just as simple, Father God, help me in Jesus' name. And allow the Lord then to send somebody across your path, because you might need prayer. There's a spiritual deliverance sometimes. You ever been around somebody and they're just depressed, and after you leave them, you sort of get depressed with them, okay? That's a spiritual depression. And sometimes you need prayer, just get that off your back. So it's biological, psychological, natured or nurtured. It could be spiritual. In other words, you'll find that there's a certain amount of oppressive spirits that are working there, and you just need somebody to pray with you to get that off. So reach out to your pastor, reach out to your doctor, reach out to God. He's the number one. And then be willing to be open when he sends you some help. Don't be like the person that stayed on their housetop and drowned because he got to heaven and said, God, I thought, this flood came and I sat on top of my house and I was waiting for you to rescue me. And God said, I sent the police officer to get you to leave your house and you wouldn't. And he said, I even sent the boat by, but you said you was waiting for me. So sometimes God uses natural help, and thank God for that. Reach out to somebody.